You should only have 4 categories of items and issues on your calendar, and that should equate to only 2 types of days. This crucial change fuels some of the most successful entrepreneurs across the entire country, even the world.
This is The Rare Advisor, proud to be a part of the Advisor Advancement Network and home of a business model supercharged by recurring and repeatable events. Your host is Mike Walters, CEO of USA Financial. He is an investment advisor representative of and securities are offered through USA Financial Securities, member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor.
Hey, near the beginning of every new year, I like to stop and remind myself, literally go through my calendaring process. Doesn't matter what system you use, if you use paper, if you use digital, if you use Outlook, if you use Google, if you use something within our industry through, Redtail or Salesforce or whatever, none of it matters. Just think in terms of structurally, how do you want that set up? I know, lock, stock, and barrel. Prep day creates game day success. Now, you should only have 4 categories of items or issues in your calendar, and you should only have 2 types of days on your calendar. Now, this crucial change literally fuels some of the most successful entrepreneurs in the United States and around the world. How can I say this? Because the idea became a seed of thought. It was created by Dan Sullivan of Strategic Coach. Kudos to my friend Dan. He came up with the concept of free, focus, and buffer. So if you're a strategic coach person, if you've participated in any of those coaching programs, you'll recognize the thought pattern behind this. Now, we've adapted and tweaked the concept a little bit for our own use internally, as well as how we train and teach and coach financial advisors. But again, at its core, it's really the concept of free, focus, and buffer coming from Dan Sullivan at Strategic Coach. Now, free, I'll keep it in the same terminology. So we have 4 instead of 3. We have free, game, prep, repair. So let's start with free. Free is the stuff that is beyond the boundaries of your business. What makes you a whole person? Your family, your friends, your spiritual participation, your charitable activities, your mentoring, your coaching, anything outside of your business that is of high number 1 importance to you. That is your free time. Those are your free issues. Those are your free items. Put them in the calendar first. As entrepreneurs, we always know we become busy. We tend to, be the first boots on the ground and the last boots back off the ground, to use a military term. So because of that, we have to get those free items in first. Otherwise, they get gobbled up by the business and they don't happen. And then our life goes into a tailspin. I lived it decades ago. I've corrected it. I've course corrected. And it was the best thing that ever happened, not only in my personal life, but it changed the trajectory of my business in a huge way. So put your free items in first. Enough said. Let's focus on the business. Now, what Strategic Coach would call focus, we call game or game day. So think like an athlete. Here we've got game day for focus. We've got prep day for buffer. So game and prep. I want to combine my thought pattern between game and prep. Now, an athlete, if you're playing in the NFL, you've got an immense amount of prep that takes place. And then you have Sunday game day. That's what you get paid for, right? You don't get paid for the prep. You have to do it in order to protect your payday. Key point, right? I have to do my prep work to protect my paydays, but my payday comes on Sunday. In our business as a financial advisor, you need to flip those ratios. You are going to have more game day activities than you do prep day activities. You're going to have more game days during the week than you are prep days during the week. That's important because you're probably going to see an optimal, and I'm talking optimal ratio of about 80 to 20, 80 game to 20 prep. Now, if you've never done this before, you're going to find that you're probably way out of whack. In fact, you might even have more prep than you do game, and that's costing you immensely. Anything you do that directly relates to driving revenue to your practice, that's a game day activity. I want to make sure that at least 4 out of the 5 days a week, I've got game day activities happening. Then I can reserve, again, ideally, let's just call it 1 day a week for my prep activities, for my prep day. All of the admin, all the financial review, sitting down with my staff, coordinating things behind the scenes, all the things that don't have to do with us bringing revenue into the practice, but we have to keep the engine lubricated, maintained, and greased accordingly. That's prep day. Now, keep in mind, this is different based upon who you are and what your role is in a practice. So if you are not the rainmaker in the practice, if you are a staff, if you are an administrative partner, whatever the situation might be in a practice, then what I'm saying might not pertain to you. You very well may have more of what corporately would be viewed as prep day activities, but keep in mind, they could be game day activities for you. So here's the classic example, right? I'm the CEO of USA Financial. So my general role is to drive growth and revenue for USA Financial. That's my game day activity. Everything else falls into the prep category, right? Now, contrast me to our CFO, our Chief Financial Officer. He has nothing to do, well, very little to do with bringing revenue into the firm. He has everything to do with how we manage it and how we get those values to the bottom line. So getting the value to the bottom line, managing, monitoring, tweaking, watching the expenses, the P&L, the balance sheet, that's the stuff that is his game day activity. That is not my game day activity. That is my prep activity. I visit with him once a week and we go through that stuff. When we do that, I'm on prep time, he's on game time. That's the difference. Everybody's unique. Think game day, prep day. So now back to the financial advisor, rainmaker of the practice. You want to have 4 out of 5 days game day. Contrast to my CFO. He still wants to have 4 out of 5 days game day as well, but his game activities would likely be my prep activities, right? So we interconnect. It's like pieces of a puzzle putting this together. And then finally, we add a fourth in the financial services world called repair. Because in our highly regulated environment, if you have a disgruntled client, if you have a complaint, if you have an issue, if you have some kind of a trade error, whatever it might be, those things can snowball and get out of hand really, really quickly in a regulated environment. So we've added the component of repair. Now, generally speaking, I'm going to slide repair into my buffer days. But sometimes repair needs to even trump card a focus day. So I keep it as a separate item as repair. Hopefully, I have very little activity there, but I keep that slot open so everybody knows what gets dropped in there and how vital and important that is. So here we are. We've got free day, game day, prep day, and repair items. The best chance for you to be successful at this is the largest blocks of time you can assign to each. So when you have a free day, take the whole day. Don't take half a day. Don't take part of a day. Odds are you're not going to be dialed in to spend the time with your family they deserve unless you have pushed everything else aside and you can focus on them. So make it a day. Make it a full day so you're not thinking about other things. That's a free day. Game day, I'm thinking about driving revenue to that practice, dealing with my clients and so on. So I don't have to-do lists and appointment lists and so on. I have game lists and I have prep lists. So I want to stay in the zone all day with my game or stay in the zone all day with my prep or the largest block of time I can dedicate to each. Then I'm going to be able to keep in that zone, so to speak. And then finally, as we already chatted, we have repair, which again is probably an offshoot of buffer for most people or of prep for most people. But I keep it as a separate line item because it's important and not properly attended to, it could become disastrous. So that's why it's such a key item. Free, game, prep, repair. Have a great year. This will change everything.
This information is for licensed financial professionals only and is not intended for use in soliciting sales from the public. The views expressed represent the opinions of the presenter or their featured guest, not necessarily those of USA Financial or its affiliated subsidiaries. Industry references are generic and not intended to represent actions or beliefs of any individual or entity. Content is only presented to illustrate general principles, beliefs, or ideas and should not be construed as legal or regulatory advice. Trademark and copyright protected. USA Financial and Affiliates.